And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gem in a Crypto episode 504. Today is Thursday, November 21st, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday. Of course, today we have a lot of stories rolling in. Bitcoin.com launches $200 million Bitcoin Cash investment fund. Franklin Templeton taps wallet service provider to support tokenized shares. Venezuela cuts Petro's backing from 5 billion barrels of oil to 30 million. PayPal CEO holds Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. Assassin's Creed dev becomes block producer for EOS based gaming startup. But first and foremost, let's check out these prices. That is right. It is a bloody Thursday. Bitcoin is down 7.34% at $7,547. Ethereum's down 10.33% at $158.42. Ripple XRP, we've been talking about the good place to buy this at. I mean, this is one of them here. It's down 5.26%. Price is 23 or 0.238 cent. So a little bit under 24 cent. Lowest we've seen in about 6 months now officially. Bitcoin Cash is at $221.39, down 10.24%. Litecoin's at $49.62, down 10.24%, and EOS is at $2.77, down 10.97%. So again, everything's down like 5 to 10% is the average for everyone today. Again, Bloody Thursday. One thing to remember though, the prices right now, the prices leading up to Thanksgiving, the price movement leading up to Thanksgiving is pretty much the same as been the last 3 years straight now. Leading up to Thanksgiving, the price generally dips, as well as Christmas, holidays, the price dips, even New Year. And literally the day of these events, the day of Thanksgiving, the day of Christmas, and the day of New Year's, that day of and the day after, the price usually goes up some. Now, I'm not saying that it has some meteoric bounce back, but it does have a slight bounce back the day after or the day of these events. But leading up to it, again, for the last few years I've been involved in crypto, this price drop has continuously happened. So we're not out the woods yet, but with all that being said, again, that parabolic price rise in 2017 happened in a 10-day span, I think from about like December 1st to December 10th or December 12th, somewhere around there. So we saw that parabolic rise from 10,000 to 20,000 then. And the price was probably below 7,500 at the time that happened. So not saying that is all bad news. It's looking bad today, but it doesn't mean it's actually all bad news. As I say on a daily basis now, the technology behind Bitcoin hasn't changed for you since yesterday and today. It's only gotten better. So the price does not reflect the actual technology. It just affects market interest, as you can see. And everyone's not involved in the market yet. So the price isn't the end all be all, but for those who only look at that, it is a red day today. Okay. A couple quick shout outs going on Tony Noli, Mr. Gibson, see some people loading in. Top story of the day. Franklin Templeton taps wallet service providers to support tokenized shares. That is right. You talking about a big base hit, Franklin Templeton. Let me give them a shout out. I used to actually have a lot of my investments with them. Those they did a great job. I mean, to be honest, when you talk about traditional banking and traditional investing, not these wild 30 to 40+% swings, but at your average, I think I was getting about 22% return back on a yearly basis, something like that for a lot of my investments. Though a lot of my investments at the time were aggressive investments. Clearly, since I'm in crypto, I'm an aggressive type of investor. But they did a great job when I was with them. So I will say shout out to Franklin Templeton. The global investment firm is looking to track shares of a money market firm on the Stellar blockchain, has tapped wallet service provider Curve to help safeguard its shares. That's right. The company's announced Thursday that Curve will be responsible for helping Franklin Templeton build the transaction signing and management system for its fund. Curve, which developed a series of multi-party computation protocols, seeks to remove the need for private keys. That's right, which it calls a single point of failure on a blockchain platform, according to a press release. Italy Malinger, Curve CEO and co-founder, told CoinDesk that his company's software solution will also help the company scale its system. Quote, Franklin Templeton needs an infrastructure stack that will first of all secure the assets right because it's a public blockchain, and also be able to manage a scale of tens of hundreds of thousands of addresses. That is right. They do have tens of hundreds of thousands of customers. This is a global wealth management firm, as we said, investment firm. They're saying these addresses will either be associated with the end customer or with a processing point. So everything they're hoping to put on this blockchain here will not actually be cryptocurrency. It says here they have no actual plans to invest in any cryptocurrencies. They just want to use the Stellar blockchain to track the shares of his fund. Now, if you invested with Franklin Templeton, you know they have all types of funds. People, whether you're aggressive, moderate, passive, depending on what scale you are on those three, depending on how many different ones you want to invest at one time. I mean, they have funds on top of funds. So I can see this being helpful for them, especially internally, where they're saying, again, we don't need to buy any cryptocurrencies. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to keep up with all the data we already have. We're looking to keep up with all the different funds we have. We're looking to keep up with the customers we have and who we owe money to. And they're saying that a blockchain can help that. And I agree. I think this will be I'm not, and they're using Stellar's blockchain. So again, it's a work in progress there, but what a great test case. What a great customer for the blockchain, for the Stellar blockchain to have, Franklin Templeton, right? You have a real institutional investor now. A big one too, a big time, real institutional investor coming into the industry. And to me, this is actually the right way. They're not coming in and saying, hey, we're just trying to buy a bunch of crypto. We're trying to do this or any of that. We just want to use this technology because it will help with our ordinary business. This will be the reason why a lot of companies actually use blockchain technology. When we talk about the medical field, hospitals, and keeping patient records and having access to patient records, this is where blockchains will come in handy at. So I think this is going to be a great test case. I think if everything works well, which I don't see why it would not. Of course, initially there might be problems, technical problems that can be fixed. But if Franklin Templeton can use the Stellar blockchain and this works for them, I see a lot more institutions hopping into the industry again. Maybe not for cryptocurrency right off the bat, but to actually use blockchain technology, which is going to be a very important part of the industry. I can see them coming in for that. Now, of course, with me, I would say, hey, Bitcoin blockchain. It's the most public out there. It's the most decentralized. You can use that. But with a place like Franklin Templeton, I understand why they will actually use something like Stellar, where at the end of the day, there's someone to call to pick up, and someone's going to pick up the phone and say, yeah, we can help you with this technical issue on the blockchain and get it done. Whereas Bitcoin, at the end of the day, you would be beholden to almost consultants in the sense because no one owns it, but everyone's kind of working on it, in it, or around it. So shout out to Franklin Templeton. Shout out to Stellar for getting this done. Again, this is a traditional finance player, very big company, worldwide, global wealth management firm, and they decided to jump into the blockchain foray as well to use that technology to help their day-to-day operations. So I can't wait to see how this plays out. Again, I hope it plays out very well. That way we can have more institutional investors come into the space, and even regulators will start to see, hey, it's not all bad and criminals. Like, this technology actually works. So shout out to Franklin Templeton for not being scared to make this move, because again, you talk about a multi-billion-dollar business. Some people are scared to pivot and make a move in a new technological shift in fear that it might ruin their entire business. So again, I cannot wait. This is a pretty cool story. Shannon Allen, what's going on? All right, Bitcoin.com is back in the news after they launched a $200 million Bitcoin Cash investment fund. That's right. You can take a look at this picture here. Bcash is over here trying to get swole on us. Bitcoin.com, the Bitcoin-related firm backed by crypto evangelist Roger Ver, is planning to launch his $200 million Bitcoin Cash investment fund. That's right. Ver has announced the news speaking at a Bitcoin Cash meetup in London on November 19th, as he tweeted on November 20th. The event was hosted by major global crypto wallet blockchain.com. The new Bitcoin Cash ecosystem fund will focus on payment solutions and non-custodial financial services for Bitcoin Cash, a cryptocurrency that emerged from a hard fork of Bitcoin in August 2017. The new fund will be investing in payment gateways and wallet acquirers. And if you remember, Bitcoin.com recently actually launched its own crypto exchange. Now, I know I am about to bring the Bitcoin Cash publish to the comment section after I say this, but it must be said. This entire plan, as far as this $200 million fund from Bitcoin Cash, the payment solutions, the non-custodial financial services, the payment gateways, the wallet acquirers, and the crypto exchange. These are all being launched because the Bitcoin Cash project that Roger Ver thought would make him even more money than Bitcoin has failed in his eyes. It has failed. That is why they took it off the website, Bitcoin.com, and switched a lot of those things back to Bitcoin stuff, to just regular Bitcoin stuff. That's why they got a new CEO in there. And that's why Roger Ver has distanced himself more or less from the project. Because the project, for what they hoped it would be, has failed. Not only has it failed, but Roger Ver still has a lot of his personal money tied up into the project. So with those two factors being known, it's failed and he has a lot of his personal money tied up, it is time to rebrand. And that is what Bitcoin Cash is doing. They're not coming out saying we're the only Bitcoin, we're the only true Bitcoin, we're the only one you should use for transactions and purposes. No, now they're coming out saying, hey, we got payment gateways, we got wallets, we got payment solutions, we got non-custodial financial services, we have an exchange now. He is trying to diversify what Bitcoin Cash is in the minds of everyone around the world so that he can make his buck back because he, again, is heavily invested in Bitcoin Cash. Quick history lesson for those who didn't know why Bitcoin Cash even came about. That whole SegWit2x we were talking about at the beginning of this week and all those traders to Bitcoin, Jeff Garzlick, Bobby Lee, who we mentioned, who apologized about it. All those New York agreement players who tried to hard fork Bitcoin during SegWit2x to basically make a corporate Bitcoin, Roger Ver was a part of that team. Once they all failed, I think it might have been a week or 2 weeks later, if that, Roger Ver said, fine, I'm launching Bcash. He launched Bcash as a response of SegWit2x not working. And again, Bcash was his own personal pet project. I won't say his own because at the time, Craig Wright, fake Satoshi, and Jahan Wu also helped launch it. They all invested in it. But again, these were all three people who also signed that New York agreement, hoping to corporate fork Bitcoin and have their own Bitcoin. That failed. They created Bitcoin Cash, thinking Bitcoin Cash was going to take over Bitcoin. They tried to spam the Bitcoin network at the time with very small purchases and transactions, 25 cents here, 50 cents here, to raise the price of how much it costs to transact and then say, look, the Bitcoin network is broke. It doesn't work. When in reality, it was basically a private company trying to make it look like the network didn't work. That was around the same time I told you all yesterday. I started, playing around with different wallets. I used Jack's wallet, which we covered yesterday, which was working fine during this spamming of the network. But the long short is that Bcash was established to try to take over Bitcoin and to be the run real Bitcoin. But now they're not even doing that. They're diversifying. And again, they're trying to recreate themselves, which I understand. Roger Ver has a lot of money in it. But at the end of the day, I think people forget Roger Ver was one of, if not the first investor in the Bitcoin ecosystem. When it comes to investing in other businesses and projects, Roger Ver was one of the first. I mean, he used to be known as Bitcoin Jesus before Bcash was even launched. So to say he's a foolish businessman would not align with who he is. I mean, he's done some stuff in crypto that's made some questionable decisions. But all in all, he's made a lot, if not majority of his money in crypto from investing in other companies. Now, he came into the cryptocurrency with some money to invest, clearly, but he's made so much money from investing in cryptocurrency ventures. I think this is a smart move for him. When it comes to business, he actually knows what he's doing. He knows where to put his dollars to invest. So if this is the direction Bcash is going, or they're going to diversify a bit more and actually look to be more of a payment solution, non-custodial financial service, have payment gateways. They're looking to do more things in the ecosystem than just we're the real Bitcoin. I think it'll work. Again, they have the money. They have the resources. They already have infrastructure built up. You're talking about Bitcoin.com, the website. I mean, you can change your branding 100 times. As long as you have that address, you'll always have a new customer coming to you on a daily basis and an opportunity to buy or to sell something, So I don't think it's all bad in Bitcoin Cash land, but I'm happy to see them actually rebrand and try to do something else and do what they always been, another altcoin. They're another altcoin. So I'm happy to see that they're taking that ownership up of being another altcoin and trying to diversify. It's pretty cool. And you can actually see it here in the article. a cryptocurrency that emerged from a hard fork of Bitcoin in August of 2017. That's right. So SegWit2x, the corporate takeover, I believe was in July of 2017. So you're talking 4 to 6 weeks later, Roger Ver launched Bcash. I mean, literally once SegWit2x happened, if you were paying attention during this time, they just pivoted over to Bcash and pushed that out overnight. So interesting to see. At the end of the day, whenever you're talking about Bcash and Roger Ver, it will always be a story because he or someone he's associated with owns Bitcoin.com. Again, one of the biggest websites out there. I mean, it is the biggest website out there when you're talking about Bitcoin because that's where everybody clicks on first. Bitcoin.com, what pops up, right? So pretty cool to see here. Couple of quick shout outs. What's going on? Valdez Granville, Blockchain Shuja. What's going on? Trek, PFC Wells. Yep, PFC Wells said, talking about Bobby Lee, Roger Ver, and some of these other SegWit2x actors. He said they're not the only one repositioning in this space. That is true. Everyone's trying to get involved with global changes, Shannon Allen said. All right, now to some more serious stories. And it's interesting. These last 3 stories, I literally talked about the topics of them yesterday. So first, let's start off with Venezuela. Venezuela cuts Petro's backing from 5 billion barrels of oil to 30 million, reported by Reuters. This is why a central bank digital currency will never work. As I said about the Federal Reserve already printing $275 billion overnight, which essentially dilutes the value of the U.S. dollar, but no one wants to acknowledge this, which is amazing to me. This is why we can't have a central bank digital currency, because they'll be centralized. They'll be controlled by a private company. And this exact thing will happen. While you remember yesterday, I can't remember who mentioned it off the top of my head. It was either Spence or maybe Cryptonomics, who were saying that, hey, would the U.S. central bank digital currency be backed by Bitcoin or something of the sort? I mentioned how the U.S. dollar used to be backed by gold, but eventually we just went away with that, even though that meant the dollar was backed by nothing. The same thing is going to happen with a central bank digital currency. This is Venezuela's version of a central bank digital currency. They petro crypto, whatever they call it. Their petrodollar, right? But their petrodollar, which is supposed to be backed by barrels of oil, overnight goes from, well, we're backing it by 5 billion barrels of oil to 30 million. So if the petrodollar actually took off and people own this, the price of it or the value of it would tank overnight off a government decision. So this is why central bank digital currencies will never work, because one day or 10 years or 20 years straight, we're using it, everything's fine. And then someone wakes up and was like, it's not worth what we told you. You know, it's not backed by 1 Bitcoin. Now it's backed by half a Bitcoin. It's not backed by any gold anymore. It's not backed by an actual US dollar anymore. It's backed by 1/10 of a dollar. They can do that overnight. That is why you cannot have a centralized monetary system. And this includes the dollar, the fiat currency. I know if you're watching, you already know this, but there are people out there who have no clue about this. This is why the United States dollar is not worth anything as well, because our government goes back overnight and they basically say it's not going to be worth 5 billion, it's going to be worth 30 million. And they do that by printing more money. So we're seeing Venezuela do that. But to me, this highlights why a central bank digital currency will never work unless a central bank digital currency, unless they create something to be truly decentralized like Bitcoin, where no one has control of it, truly transparent. And I don't see that happening because, again, the central bank, the Federal Reserve, is a private company. Private companies exist, especially in America, to make money. That's why we're a capitalist country. Nothing else matters. Don't let the Bill Gates Foundation charities fool you, people. If they're overseas pumping medicine into people, it's probably because they're testing medicine from the companies they're investing in, and also because it's a tax write-off. But everything we do in the U.S. is a business-based system. So I don't ever see the Federal Reserve creating some decentralized crypto where they don't have no control of it, no backdoor of it, and no way to manipulate the price, right? And you can see this here with Venezuela. They plan to back its national oil paired cryptocurrency, the Petro PTR, with 30 million barrels of crude oil. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced that the oil inventories are sitting in the country's storage tanks and are ready for immediate commercialization to serve as, quote, liquid physical material backing for Petro. The president announced the news on November 20th on state television. According to a Reuters report, in an announcement, Maduro called the Petro a sovereign Venezuelan crypto asset. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Maduro and all of Venezuela, because at the end of the day, this is a great base hit for cryptocurrency. The president, or the dictator for some, on the national news, state television, is going on to talk about cryptocurrency. Even if what they really have isn't really a cryptocurrency, or especially isn't decentralized or holds any of those original principles when we think of cryptocurrency and things like Bitcoin, the fact that he went on state television, this is actually his second time in a month, because you remember 2 weeks ago he went on state television with a treasure wallet, and now he's going on state television talking about their petrodollar, the PTR, right, and what is backed by. At the end of the day, he's going on TV in front of an entire country. The president of a country is going on TV to talk cryptocurrency. All right. This is a big base hit for cryptocurrency everywhere, because you think he'll be the only president in the history of this industry to ever do that? I think he's going to be the first president in the history of this industry to do it. Many countries are going to be next. Now, while Maduro has not provided any details on how the sale of oil inventories will work in order to back the petro so far, another Reuters report said that the Venezuelan government initially planned to back the crypto with 5 billion barrels of oil. According to a report, the sharp decline in the quantity of the petrol backing was caused by United States sanctions on Venezuelan state-owned oil company PDVSA. The firm allegedly reduced crude extraction in 2019 due to said sanctions. Again, this is why a central bank digital currency will never work, because if it can be influenced by a sanction from a different country, again, US, Russia, wherever, or if your president can just go in overnight and say, fine, it won't be equal to what we said it'll be equal to, no matter what reasons they have or what math they have, then it cannot be a real crypto or a real decentralized crypto. At the end of the day, it's a digital dollar. It's the same thing we already have online, except they're just rebranding it. So, of course, this news is mostly being promoted by the local government in Venezuela. So you won't hear about this around the world, but it's a good test case, people, because this would be the same thing central bank digital currencies would do, and this is going to be the same path many countries take as well. It might not be oil, replace oil with diamonds, gold, Bitcoin, or whatever commodity you have. I mean, you might even could replace it with real estate, right? Notes on real estate. But at the end of the day, they cannot maintain it because it is not an algorithm. Bitcoin's an algorithm. Everything is online. These numbers are being produced, and no one can go back and change them, right? Without going back and doing it for the entire ecosystem. So that's why that works. And these are some of the reasons why these central bank digital currencies would not work. All right. PayPal is back in the news. Listen, people, I mean, I basically just called this yesterday when we said PayPal led the investment round for the company. I think it was TRM. I can't think of the company right now. And I said they're leading an investment round because they are heavily interested in Bitcoin, not necessarily doing something themselves, and they're just involved in it behind the scenes. Well, it turns out that is, in fact, correct. PayPal CEO holds Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. That's right. Dan Schulman, CEO of payment processor PayPal, revealed during an interview that he does indeed own Bitcoin. On November 20th, Fortune reported that PayPal CEO Dan Schulman stopped by his offices where he discussed a variety of topics, including the reason for PayPal's withdrawal from the Libra Association and whether he is the proud owner of any cryptocurrencies. Now, when it comes to why he withdrew from the Libra Association, I wasn't cool with that one. I will say that. I mean, I understand it from a business perspective, but just from and also just from a business perspective, like, you guys pledged to be a part of this project. The waters got rough and you ran. Like, I wouldn't want you as a partner either. But when it comes to money, of course, you always open that door up. Shulman explained that PayPal withdrew from Libra because the company decided to put its attention elsewhere. According to the CEO, it was a question of, quote, where do we want to put our attention and what do we want to do today to advance our mission? He added, we think if we focus on our own roadmap, we'd be able to advance financial inclusion faster than if we put all these resources against Libra. In general, it was the waters. It was the rough waters Libra was going through Congress, international laws and regulations, and Libra jumped ship like a lot of other companies did. Now, again, from a business perspective, I get it, because when it comes to the United States and our sanctions, the way they work, they're like, oh, you working with Libra too? All right, well, you can get it too. You all can get it together, whoever over there, right? So I understand companies are like, hey, look, we ain't with them. We over here, man. We were with them. We know you all had this beef. We are not with nobody. We're working on our own goals. I get it. But also, this is what stifles innovation. When you have one billionaire telling another billionaire, hey, I can't play on your team because the government's going to get mad at me as well for no reason, even though you're doing something perfectly legal, then that says a lot about you and your company as well. And of course, it makes sense for PayPal. I mean, they tried to buck the system initially. That ended very quickly, and they decided to basically become a bank, which they are now. I told you all about my debit card. I think I get my PayPal debit card not today or tomorrow, right? So they've officially said, no, we're just going to be a bank. We're going to play with the system. But it's just it's crazy to see this because I can't think of the right word right now. But it's the opposite of what the CEO actually feels and want to do. The CEO isn't stupid. I mean, he's in charge of a technology company. PayPal is still a tech company, even though they're a bank, right? They're a tech company online first. They're not stupid. They understand cryptocurrency. They understand the ecosystem in the industry. And with all that being said, he's bought some himself. He's invested. Regarding cryptocurrency, the CEO said that it is still very volatile and that they do not have much demand by it for merchants because merchants operate on very small margins. Now, that part isn't true. PayPal doesn't want to add Bitcoin to his network or to his website because they know once they do, as I just stated, they will become a target for the United States government, something that they've been before. And again, I understand. They're like, hey, we already fought this war. Like, we literally fought a war to come here and stay. We don't want to fight a second war, especially when it doesn't have anything to do with the way business is ran now. Now, in the future, next 2 or 3 years, might everything change? Yes, I'm sure they'll hop on the boat then. But right now they don't want it. And he basically said that. He's using the volatility as a reason, but he's saying, quote, until it becomes less volatile, it won't be a currency that is widely accepted by merchants on the web, not the dark web, but the web. Again, while that's true, I think he should just come out and say the rest of the truth, which is until the government okays it, it's going to continue to be volatile, and we don't want any parts of that. But when asked whether he owns any cryptocurrency himself, Schumann's answers was short and straightforward. Yes, Bitcoin only. He only owns Bitcoin for when he says, whether that's true or not, I do believe he definitely owns Bitcoin. I mean, I said that yesterday when we were talking about PayPal investing in that company. As Bitcoin, they would say they're buying the shovels. But again, they're not investing in these companies. These aren't making top stories because they aren't interested in Bitcoin. They don't own any or they don't know what it's about. So I'm glad he actually came out and said it. And shout out to Dan. I'm sure he watches the show because this comes the day after I basically said they own something and they're a part of it. So shout out to Dan Schumann. Game I Peep, thank you for the tip. Sending positive vibes. Keep grinding, fellas. Definitely appreciate that tip. What's going on, Dylan Darchinville? BK Crypto Meetup in the building. Milto, hello. P-Man Van. Let's see. Shannon Allen said it will be a bigger... okay. P-Man Van said he should just adopt Bitcoin, be the first in the future of the world as far as Maduro. And Shannon Allen said it would be a bigger threat than anything else Venezuela can do, actually. You're right. I think if you were to adopt Bitcoin, that would be the biggest threat. But I think him adopting Bitcoin right now, all out, I mean, and I'm not being funny here, that might send a bomb to his country. I'm just being honest. If Venezuela were to adopt Bitcoin and to publicly be going around U.S. sanctions using Bitcoin, oh, you better believe we're pushing that button over here. It won't be any hesitation. We are pushing that button in some form, shape, and it won't be just a regular sanction. So that's my thoughts on that. Last but not least, another type of story we kind of covered yesterday. Video games. You all are going to listen, especially, hey, look, if anyone out there have people in their family like I did, my own parents who, I grew up playing video games. They never once showed any interest in it. And it's kind of funny because the gaming industry is one of the biggest industries out there. So to me, it doesn't, whenever you're talking about video games, I don't care if you're talking about playing hopscotch and riding chalk on the sidewalk. If it turns to a multi-billion-dollar industry, you have my attention now, right? So video games still don't have a lot of people's attention, especially the boomers. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. For whatever reason, they never wanted to jump on the video game craze, yet they're happy working in the factory for 20 or 30 years. I don't get it. But Assassin's Creed developer becomes block producer for EOS-based gaming startup. That is right. Again, I know a lot of people don't know what Assassin's Creed is, so I'm going to break it down. But this is huge news for EOS people. I'm talking about huge news. Ubisoft, actually one of the biggest game developers out there, the game development giant behind the video game Assassin's Creed, has partnered with EOS-based game distribution platform Ultra. According to a press release shared with Cointelegraph on November 21st, Ubisoft will be a corporate block producer on the testnet version of Ultra's EOS sidechain, dubbed UOS. As such, the company will help maintain the network and improve transactions on it during the trial period. Now, a few things I'm going to add. First, let's talk about Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft. Again, Ubisoft is huge. They made The Division, actually, a shooter. I play The Division every now and then. Assassin's Creed sold 140 million copies, people. The United States population is 330 million. One of the largest countries out there. So almost half of the United States population, if every one person were to buy a game, almost half the United States population bought Assassin's Creed, right? 140 million copies sold. A big number to pay attention to. Ubisoft Division 2, I'm not sure how many copies they sold. It just came out this year. But right now they're in the running for the game of the year. And plenty of other games they created that sells millions, hundreds of millions of copies, right? I mean, they're probably selling billions of video games. It's crazy. So to have them join this EOS distribution platform, Ultra, with this UOS, again, this is big news. You're talking about people who not only know what they're doing in the gaming industry, they know what they're doing when it comes to technology, and finally, they know what they're doing when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, if you don't know yet, one of the big things in video games, I actually mentioned on this show before, is microtransactions. They are already in video games. A lot of people don't like it because they're saying, hey, we were paying $60 for a video game. We don't want to spend another $40 to $60 of in-game purchases or even more. But that's how a lot of games get you now. We talked about PUBG on here. Some of the mobile games, they have microtransactions on those mobile games as well. But the way it works, and I can speak to it, let's say when it comes to Division 2, another video game created by them, a microtransaction in a game will work as your player can be customized with different outfits, so you can buy advanced level weapons. But the only way to do that is to spend your money in game to buy it. Now, we already have that for USD, but I wonder what's the next thing on the digital horizon for microtransactions. Could it be cryptocurrencies? That's what we talk about, where instead of actually spending an entire Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin or something on a microtransaction, you can spend Satoshis like we saw in the video game yesterday, where you have this Bitcoin bounty hunting game where every time you kill someone, you get a few Satoshis. Again, Satoshi is worth less than a penny. So you're talking about microtransaction. This is the true definition of it. But when I see Ubisoft partnering with EOS to develop stuff, I mean, this is going to be a two-way street. They're going to help EOS mature and develop their distribution platform, Ultra. But also on the flip side, they're going to figure out how to use a blockchain and cryptocurrency, whether it be Satoshis with Bitcoin or whatever else, to make these in-game microtransactions, because it works easier to actually use a cryptocurrency, since cryptocurrencies are made for the digital landscape, than to use the digital version of a fiat currency where we know, okay, if you do a microtransaction with anything that involves the US dollar, you're going to have a bank involved. You're going to have a third-party payment processor involved. I mean, it's probably at least a 2 to 4 step process of different people are going to have involved, right? You're going to have your personal bank, their personal bank, the bank that's in charge of the business, whatever regulator who's going to look at this payment system of how it's going to go to and from the video game to your wallet, to your banking, all this stuff. With a digital currency, again, this is all public transactions. You're using a blockchain, and it's more of a seamless integration instead of using a banking process to settle up on funds. So I think this is huge news. Again, this is Ubisoft. They're talking specifically about an Assassin's Creed developer. Very good game out. Again, it sold over 140 million copies. Looks like the alignment of interest goes to transactions on the network, will include in-game asset creation, ownership transfers between players, and payments. And per the release, Ultra chose Ubisoft as a block producer because it is in-game that it is, this is a weird way they said it. It is in the game developer's best interest to help the platform grow, and the gaming giant also has the technical ability to provide meaningful help. Again, if you watched this before, you know I don't do a deep dive and read all the articles all the way through. So this is my first time reading that paragraph. I read the headline, first paragraph. That was enough for me. I understood where they were going with it. But again, this is crazy news, people. Founder and co-CEO of Ultra, Nicholas Galut, said that Ubisoft, quote, years-long dedication to exploring blockchain technology ensures they have the knowledge and skills to be excellent block producers. He was also quoted as saying, this is director Nicholas Poar explained the firm believes it is important to support gaming-related blockchain applications, adding that, quote, during this first trial period of collaboration, we hope to use them and bringing it to a larger scale and experiment with the possibilities this opens for the industry. Company data website Crunchbase estimates Ubisoft revenue to be $2.5 billion. Its Assassin's Creed series video game reportedly sold over 140 million copies. And again, that's just one video game on their roster. Ubisoft has a monster of a roster, people. Like, I'm telling you, it's 100 million here and it's 100 million there. It's not just one. So this is great news to me. I didn't play the most recent versions of Assassin's Creed. I played like the first 2 or 3 that came out. Great storylines, great games. And again, I agree with Ultra's executive team. They picked the right partner, or the right partner picked them. I mean, this is a perfect marriage. You're talking about Ubisoft. They know what they're doing. They have the technical expertise. And I can guarantee you, when you talk about a company like Ubisoft, half the employees probably already use cryptocurrency, or at the very least have a high technical understanding of it, because these people are in the landscape already. We talked about it yesterday. Video games, porn, and criminals. Those are the 3 groups that adopt technology first. And we're seeing that here with Assassin's Creed's developers jumping on this block producer thing with EOS. So cool to see. And expect to see more of this, people. Expect to see more of this. You're talking about Bitcoin and crypto going mainstream. Video games will be one of the reasons why. Specifically because of micropayments, it's a win-win for everyone across the board. Just Chillin' says, speaking of gaming, I think virtual real estate and land will be a part of the future. I'm not going to shield Decentraland, but I'm just saying. No, I agree. Virtual real estate, especially when talking about addresses, I think it's going to be big. The .coms and all that good stuff. Trek PFC Will said, which is crazy because no one talked about how old the actually coders are. Some of the folks who Atari work for, some of the folks who work for Atari work for NASA. It ain't all teeny boppers on the bad end. No, it definitely isn't. And especially with some of the block producers for video games now. You know, it used to be a time where everyone in the video game landscape, this when I was growing up, a lot of people were younger, but now a lot of these people working on these video games are between the ages of 30 to about 55 years old. Because 20 years ago when they were playing video games, now here we are, right? So you're right. It's not a bunch of teeny boppers anymore. It's a lot of mature adults who know what they're doing. And again, this is why this is a perfect marriage, cryptocurrency and video games. And that's right. Shannon Allen said, don't forget sports betting. Even bigger, don't forget esports betting. That hasn't even started yet. When you're talking about esports, for those who don't know, competitive video gaming is now known as esports. I mean, they haven't even done esports betting yet. Could you imagine seeing Madden or NBA 2K on the big screen where you're already using microtransactions, and then you can also use your cryptocurrency to bet on who that winner is going to be? I think there's so many different derivatives in the market, and I think they'll all be explored in due time once the scaling of the technology catches up, because that's all we're doing at this point. We're just trying to get this technology up and moving. But my point is this, people. An Assassin's Creed developer, a Ubisoft developer, they're not sending resources away from Ubisoft to work in cryptocurrency in the crypto industry if the price is falling and everything is all doom and gloom. They're doing it because they see the future, which is why we always say don't pay attention to the price, because when news like this comes out, the price should actually shoot up. So when it goes down, don't pay attention to it. This is the real news. This is what's going to really affect the price, because I can guarantee if in another year or two, the next Assassin's Creed or next big Ubisoft blockbuster hit comes out. I don't know why we still say blockbuster, by the way. They're never coming back. the next Netflix type of Ubisoft hit, when they come out next, if they're involved in any way with cryptocurrency, whether it's the Stellar blockchain or the EOS blockchain, whatever they're working with, you can expect to see that price jump. So this is the time to buy the rumor. This is the rumor here. In another year or two, once they establish this partnership and they establish everything's working, that will be the news, people. Remember where you heard it first. Other than that, that is the show for today. What's going on, Allison Thompson? I want to give a quick shout out. That's the show for today. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that like and share if you like this. And I will see you all tomorrow at 10-ish. Cheers.